Back with you. Boston has entered the chat, coming to you live from our Salem 5 studios. And yeah, as Trav just alluded to, with the Patriots done, that means we got a whole hell of a lot more time for hoops. And oh, by the way, gap year be damned, right? The Boston Celtics are having themselves a heck of a season, sitting second in the East with aspirations maybe to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Just going to have to get that guy Jayson Tatum back along the way. How close is he? Let's find out in part with our buddy Sean Grande, the longtime voice of the Celtics, joining us from the Garden as the C's get ready to host the Chicago Bulls. Sean, welcome to the show. I'm curious, have you had a chance to preview the Anthony Simons tribute video?
Oh, God.
I haven't, because like everybody else, I want to be surprised. I mean, listen, if there's one thing we're going to lead the league in, right, it's tribute videos. I don't know if we're going to the conference finals. I don't know if we're going to the finals. But when the season's over, the trophy for comeback videos and welcome home videos, it's going to be right here above me.
Go ahead, Adam. I know that ain't your real question.
Yeah, no, it's good. Let's just get to Tatum. And I do want to talk about this game, Simons, Vucevic, obviously, but Tatum specifically, because he's been all over the news lately. Most recent, the assignment to Maine to practice with the G League squad, and what does that mean for his timetable after all the back and forth of mentally, is he feeling it, is he not, how soon is he, to me physically, what do I know, it seems like 2-3 weeks out, but is that realistic to you?
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. It's exciting to say it out loud, isn't it? Physically, yes. Because, listen, he's not doing 5-on-5. He's not doing contact. He's not participating in practices. You're not doing that unless you're physically comfortable with where you are in the rehab. I think the reason he did all the media yesterday is because you have to do all the media. When you have a player who is preparing to return from injury, there's a requirement that he has to do all the media every week. So I can tell you that Jayson Tatum isn't going to want to do that. So my guess is pretty good indication that we saw him yesterday. This, to me, is completely a mental thing. It has nothing to do with where this team is, whether they're 15 games over 500 or 15 games under 500. I was, and you know this, Adam, and anyone who's listening to the broadcast knows, I have been in the camp of when he's physically and emotionally and mentally ready to play, he's got to play, and the record is completely irrelevant.
All right, Sean, I'm going to give you a hot take I had, and then I'm going to weave it into.
By the way, you guys think I should have won the Tristan Casas ski mask?
No,
I was debating it.
You are serving too much face to do that, sir. We need all that. All right, so I'm going to give you a hot take I had to start the season, and then I'll weave it into a question, so bear with me. I thought for sure this team, I was banging the drum on this, Sean, that this team should tank, not just as Adam calls it, a gap year, like just don't compete. And then I saw how bad the East is as it started to unfold, which brings me to this question. Thank God they didn't tank, because I look at all these losers in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks, don't get me started. The Cavs just added another loser to a bunch of losers. The Raptors, really, and we don't even need to go further. But I kind of believe in the Pistons with Cade Cunningham. Do you? I mean, you get Jayson Tatum back into this lineup. This feels like a two-horse race to me, Sean. Celtics, Pistons like the old days. Do you think this current Celtics team can beat the Pistons in a 7-game series if we get there?
I think they've got a better chance with Vucevic. I know the Simons for Vucevic switch was not popular. I know a lot of people, even though they knew, as we're about to see Anthony Simons come back tonight, even though everyone knew what this was a one-year deal, and everybody started catching feelings for Anthony Simons and forgot what this was all along. You're better suited to compete with Detroit with Vucevic against Duran than you were if you watched the last couple of games Celtics played against Detroit where they were too small. I think you are respectfully undercutting the rest of the East a little bit. I'll say this. People are certainly underappreciating Detroit when they say the East is wide open, and the Pistons are looking at this thing going, wait a minute, we've got a bigger lead than OKC has in the West, and everyone's saying this is wide open. But here's the reason why. Because people haven't seen the Pistons do it. Like they hadn't seen the Celtics do it in 24, and they hadn't seen Oklahoma City do it. Nobody's done it before they do it. So obviously there's going to be skepticism, but the Pistons are putting together, they have a championship resume so far this year. I don't think there's any question about that. As for the other teams in the East, first of all, Cleveland, you can dog James Harden all you want. He's brilliant in games 1 and game 4 and game 6. You got to win those games, right, to get to a game 7. So that's number one for Cleveland. They're playing really well, by the way. And Well, everybody here, and rightly so, is looking up at Detroit, right? They're right there. We're second, and Detroit is first. Don't look behind them, because the Celtics are closer to seventh right now than they are to first in the Eastern Conference, because everybody is bunched together, and it's going to be that kind of race. And I don't want to be this guy saying don't run too fast and don't run with scissors, but the Celtics have a brutal road schedule coming up.
Gosh, what a great take that was. Don't run too fast, but don't run with scissors. I'm going to steal that from you, Sean, and not give you any credit, just so we're clear. I have a Tatum.
That's what I tell him. Whenever Joe Murray talks about Finland, that's what I tell him. Don't run too fast.
Can we have him on every night?
Please.
All right, Sean, I have a Tatum question.
All right, thanks.
And I don't know how you quantify team chemistry, but this guy was on a podcast not too long ago saying, yeah, I don't know, the team's playing well. I don't even know if I should come back. What? Talk to me about team chemistry when he is back in this lineup. Do you have any, this is just opinion, do you have any concerns about like how he kind of fits back into this and what he's going to look like and how it's all going to work?
I don't have as many concerns as he does. And I think the podcast represented, listen, this has been a long process. It's been 9 months that Jayson Tatum has been working. As we said at the start, mentally, that's the tougher hurdle. And so I think he's had days, and the day he did that podcast was probably a day he said, boy, how's this going to work? I think a lot of people are asking that. Would a lot of people have preferred he did that not so much on a podcast for everybody to hear, but maybe privately? Sure. But on certain days, he's going to feel like Superman. On certain days, he's going to feel like, am I ever going to be Jayson Tatum again? That's what's natural, and that's why I've always been of the belief that he needs to come back and play this year, because what you really want is Jayson Tatum having no doubts physically and no doubts mentally when training camp opens next year. The fly in the ointment here, the wrinkle, is that nobody thought you'd be sitting there going, it's a 2-horse race in the Eastern Conference. I don't agree with that take, but it's reasonable. The Celtics have the record they have, and their statistical profile is even better. It is absurd. I've started calling them the gap year Celtics, ironically, because they put a gap between themselves and the rest of the NBA. Statistically, they've got the third best statistical profile in the entire league, which is absolutely absurd. But you know what else is absurd? The take that bringing Jayson Tatum back to a basketball team could hurt it. I mean, we have to check ourselves and realize what we're saying here. This is one of the best players in the world, and even at 60%, he's better than most of the guys out there.
All right. Well, earlier we talked about the fact of the present team and what they need to do before Jayson Tatum obviously eventually gets back here with his teammates. So what do we need to see in tonight's matchup just to continue to elevate the conversation of where this team ended up landing outside of all the tank conversation and the team that they need to be when Jayson Tatum finally rejoins?
It's a great question. More offensive continuity, because there's a dirty little secret going on here. The Celtics were one of the best offensive teams in NBA history, not just this year, through the first 36, 37 games of the year, but for the last 15, 16 games, the last month, they're middle of the pack offensively. Defensively, the numbers are really good. They have to continue to incorporate Vucevic into what they are doing. That is a significant difference. You can argue, hey, I like Simons better, I like Vucevic better. They're very different players, and so the offense has to be different. You need to continue to use a rare practice that you got yesterday and practice time coming up during the All-Star break to acclimate him. But mostly what you need to do tonight is win this game against a Chicago team that is completely depleted. Talk about a team with no front court. They have all kinds of injuries, playing all kinds of guards here. They have Jaden Ivey and Simons. They've been playing together for about 38 minutes so far this year. So you need to win this game, and the reason why, as I mentioned earlier, is don't look too far ahead, because the road gauntlet is brutal. So these are the kind of games, if you want to finish second in the East, if you want to have home court in the first round, you have to win games like that.
I won't ask you to weigh in on the gambling stuff, but narrative street for me, I like overs on Simons tonight. I like overs on Vucevic and these guys going against their old teams for the first time here. But specific to Vuce, we're a couple games in. I certainly have my feelings about the trade on the whole. I didn't love it, not because I don't like him, but because I didn't want a rental. I wanted a guy who's part of the plan going forward, who's under contract, who's around 30, not mid-30s, that kind of thing, looking toward next year, the year beyond. But specific to right now and how he fits and helps this team, how do you like it so far?
Well, it's 2 games in 50 minutes, so we haven't seen very much. We saw glimpses in the Miami comeback of what he can be. Paint touches, what he does to Celtics. I think the Celtics have to acclimate to getting him the ball faster than they have in the first couple of games so he can make those quick decisions that have made him an elite offensive player. And by the way, before you get too far ahead about a rental, Anthony Simons was the rental. There was almost no circumstance by which the Celtics, with Jaylen Brown and Tatum, were going to be able to pay a third guard. You already have Peyton Pritchard, the fourth guard, the kind of money that Anthony Simons has earned on the open market. That, to me, was a long shot. Getting Vucevic on a lower-level contract where he can become the offensive Al Horford in his mid-30s over the next couple of years, that is a more realistic scenario. I think you have a better chance of getting Vucevic here than you do Simons, but that is another discussion for another time. I think that you have to wait 5-10 games before we get a better feel for what he is going to bring, but this is an elite offensive player who's going to change what the Celtics are able to do.
Man, I'm catching the basketball Holy Ghost listening to you, man. I've been on Vooch. I've been saying to trade for this guy 2-3 years ago. Me and Adam have been arguing about this forever. I said the front court is too small.
Tried.
They did try. There you
in
go.
2021, Vucevic has been on the radar for several years. In fact, remember the trade deadline, was it 5 years ago when Orlando was dumping their guys? They were dumping Aaron Gordon, who the Celtics really were looking at. They were dumping Vucevic, and they were dumping Evan Fournier. And we know the Celtics ended up with Evan Fournier and not Vucevic or Aaron Gordon. And by the way, look at what the Bulls paid for Vucevic. Now, that looks like a pretty ugly deal for them.
Absolutely. By the way, usually I'm loud and wrong. So every now and again, I get one right, Sean. All right, let me ask you about Joe Mazzulla. Going back to being loud and wrong. I said he inherited all this great stuff. I thought his championship was because of the talent. I got Barry Switzer vibes from him. Like, of course he won a championship with this team. Who the hell couldn't? Now I see I was wrong. This guy is coaching his butt off. I think he's coach of the year for my money. Can you just talk to me kind of macro, big picture? Take me into the world of covering Joe Mazzulla, because I've apologized on here to him and his family for some of the things I've said. He is a tremendous head coach.
Well, this is as far inside as I can go. It's probably the best indication is that for all the work you do to prepare for these games I've been calling all these years, I spend an inordinate amount of my day preparing for my segment with him because it's got the potential to be really interesting and take all these different directions every different night. He thinks the game differently. He's a different kind of dude. And you got to remember, when you were spouting the hot take, you were far from alone when everybody was doing it. Because look at the situation. There was nobody, with the exception of when Jack McKinney took the header off his bike to the Lakers in 1980 and Paul Westphal got thrown in. There was no historical precedent for someone being thrown in at the last second, the way he was thrown into a team that had championship expectations. So obviously everybody was completely skeptical. They had gone to the finals out of nowhere the year before. So I think he was aware of it. And it was a matter of doing what he likes his team to do, which is to follow the game plan and just chip away and chip away and chip away. And eventually everybody with their hot takes will kind of catch on and say, you know what, maybe I was wrong, which obviously will get you fired in this business. You can't say that, but you know what I'm saying? That, hey, maybe this guy knew what he was talking about all along, and give him a chance for the team with low expectations, and look what he's done. So I'm glad that the rest of the league, the rest of the world, the rest of the people hosting shows get to see what Joe Mazzulla is really about.
Yep. I'm glad that you were here with us. First of many appearances on Boston is Open the Chat, I hope.
So it's a strange place to be in the other locker room after all the years across the street that I kind of did it.
I love this guy.
You see? All right, well, I think we all, the three of us at least, expect to win tonight. I hope you do as well. Enjoy it. We'll keep an eye out for the tribute videos, obviously, and any social commentary that you offer. I don't know how you put out the tweets that you do while calling a game, but you've got it down to a science.
Hey, you know what? Challenging yourself. It's like playing a video game you get really good at. You want to see how many different things you can do at once.
John Grande, longtime voice of the Celtics, as I always like to say, just to tease him, but also because he's very well accomplished. Thank you very much, sir. We'll talk again soon.
You got it, guys.
A lot of fun there, huh?
Man, I took a lot of takes from him. I told him I ain't going to give him credit.
Steal the ball.
He is fantastic. It's fantastic.
All right, we got some fun stuff for you on the way. Go nowhere. We are not done yet, obviously, between Grande and all of the Patriots takes. Maybe we circle back on the Pats and get some more thoughts out on our way out the door. Stick around.